So to throw a whole new angle at it, because that's just the physique and the strength lens. So like when I talk, it's like strength physique. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
Strength hypertrophy is
Yeah.
the programming that you looked at yesterday that you were like, what the fuck? The third model that I've now been experimenting for probably 6 to 12 months is the stronger, leaner, fitter.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of all of it, but almost also none of it.
Yeah.
So there's jumps and throws and stuff at the start.
Yeah.
Then there's a couple of heavy movements, a couple of compound movements, maybe isolation, sometimes straight into conditioning.
Yeah.
So
is this all happening in one session?
Yeah.
So is that like understanding the compromise?
Yeah.
That you're not going to optimize all of them for that particular phase.
Yeah.
And then if that particular client said, Ben, Jace, whatever, I want to get just solely bigger, you would then transfer majority of their work to...
Yeah, they'd be able to do more volume and they'd do more...
Yeah, and then you just do a minimum effective dose of conditioning.
And strength.
Yeah, cool.
So your eights would probably come out and they'd go to like your heavy... What my first program for this is like, it's got a squat, it's got a hinge, it's got a whatever, and it's like, depending on what their goals are and where they're at in their training is what that squat looks like. Most people coming on board at the moment, that's a hack.
Yep.
And then it goes into either a leg press or a splitty or whatever,
Yeah,
depending on what they need. But if you were just like, I just want to get massive, it's like, well, leg press, leg extension, just drive as much fucking volume and tension as we can, and we'd pull that fatigue out so we can use it somewhere else if you still want to do the fitness work as well.
Yeah.
So we're just balancing that seesaw.
Yeah.
But I've wrote, if I show you Jess's program right now, it's fucking disgusting, bro.
Yeah.
Like, you looked at that program yesterday and said, I'd never do that. Like, it's gross. She messages me twice a week, like, I fucking hate you.
Yeah.
And then she's like, and then she'll send her pictures.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Just like,
it works.
Responding every single week.
Yeah, it's good.
And we're like, okay. But I think because it's so low volume overall and the session length's kind of short and you do the cool warm up and then you do the hard thing, you do another hard thing, and then you just do like the conditioning part.
Yeah.
Once you're over the hard for the conditioning, you got a little bit of a base of fitness like Jess does. That's not mentally taxing. So you've only really got half an hour of focus of the session where it's hard.
Yeah, I try and set my sessions up like that for myself and other people.
Yeah, so she's got a superset at the moment of front squats and long stride lunges.
Yeah.
Which is like just horrible. I would never do that to myself.
Pretty disgusting.
But her legs are just exploding.
Yeah.
So being able to program more stimulus.
She's like the only chick who wants big quads.
Yeah. Well, I think because we did the glutes and hamstrings thing.
Yeah.
And now from the front, she's like,
it needs to go.
I don't have big legs.
Yeah,
so give me big legs. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she wants a wider back too.
Yeah, nice.
So because the volume's so low, the training, the hard part of the program's short.
Yeah.
We can go with really high stimulus, technically high fatiguing movements more, which in theory is driving better adaptations.
Yep.
Instead of like doing a leg extension, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's an N of 1 at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, that program, because Lauren's using that as well and getting stupid results.
They're kind of a similar archetype.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, well trained, in shape.
Yeah.
Know what they're doing in the gym.
Yeah. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
That's going to work for someone.
Yeah.
Who has that level of a base.
Yeah. Yeah. But then also I've got to give a shout out. Fuck. Can you talk for a minute?
Talking for a minute.
I think I just don't want to get the name wrong. So we've got to give a shout out to Beth Frame from Perth. This is wild, right?
Yeah.
This inquiry for coaching.
Yeah.
I'm like trying to search everywhere because usually we ask for Instagram, didn't get it. I'm like, who the fuck is this person? No connection, can't find it. It was a UK email. Like, what is happening here? Who is this person? And we were like, maybe it was someone from the weekend. Turns out, Beth listens to the podcast. Her sister and her husband asked, who should I go work with? They recommended us.
Yeah, that's sick.
So thank you, Beth. Appreciate it. I told you I'd name drop you on the podcast.
Yeah.
So you've been name dropped now.
Avid listener of the podcast.
Yeah, so they're in a slightly different box of just like on and off with training, So they've got the same Vitolina Stronger because they want to be dynamic and have all that kind of stuff as well, but it's just like way less aggressive. It's just like, let's make your session as much fun as it can be. And then slowly I'll be more of an asshole.
Yeah, yeah. Isn't it funny? Isn't it interesting how like you can either build the base and then work on the proficiency, or build the proficiency and work on the base? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I've had people where I'm like, cool, let's throw the kitchen sink at you to get the base.
Yeah.
And then I've got people where I'm like, throwing the kitchen sink at you is what has happened and fucked you.
Yeah. Yeah, because you moved terribly or whatever.
Yeah, and you just had because that's all you know. That's just continuously aggravating the situation.
Yeah.
So then you've got to kind of flip it, and it's like, okay, we've got to go with proficiency. It's like how you kind of pull the bow and let go on the arrow to hit the target.
Yeah. Is
more important than how many you do.
Correct.
Yeah. So I find that very that's a telltale sign of like Lauren and Jess fit the archetype.
Yeah.
Right. History.
Yeah.
Body type, goals, etc. So for someone to sit there and be like, oh, they're doing the same program, it's like makes perfect fucking sense.
Yeah.
Right. Same everything when you think about it. Right.
Yeah.
But then you've got these other two people who have the same goal, but you can't
do the same thing.
You can't do the same method.
Yeah.
You can't sit there and be like, this is the program that works.
Yeah. Go do front squats and lunges now.
Yeah. You got to be like, well, you need that precision.
Yeah.
And even like Kayla, like she was injured.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, we need precision.
Yeah.
You need strength. You need to fortify the fuck out of your body. And then it's like, well, if you're listening, the kitchen sink's coming. You know what I mean? And it's the same with the boys. They're like, oh, I'm really loving this like low volume shit. I don't know if I could ever go high volume again. I'm like,
you will.
Like, you will. It's coming. Like it has to. You have to
ebb and flow.
Yeah, that's right. You have to ebb and flow with the training based on their ability to withstand the stress and deal with it. So then you're like, okay, well, technically there's still more.
Yeah.
But there's other ways to drive more.
Yeah.
Like it's not just like, let's just do this by lifting heavy and doing as little as possible.
Yeah.
Like you're going to get to a point where you cannot progress anymore doing that.
Yep.
So it's like, okay, well, let's double the reps and add another set.
Yeah.
And then it's like, we're going to progress in this realm now. And then we just dip and dab and, and whatever.
I've got another interesting case study. I've got a wellness competitor that placed early this year.
Yeah, nice.
That's coming on and now used to the bro split, used to that style of training, coming into density.
It's going to hurt.
More movement variety, I think, than she's used to as well. Like a lot of our first couple of weeks has just been like, not that like she trains poorly, just lack of exposure to the patterns that we're doing. So it's like 2 cues in a check-in and the next week it's perfect.
Yeah.
Like that. She's obviously got it. But just, it'll be interesting to see how her physique changes to a novel stimulus of density, more complex movement patterns, moving better overall, maybe as a system than potentially she was. Like we were talking about yesterday with the exercise selection thing for a physique athlete. It's like sometimes we need to make you move better, make you a better athlete overall, so then we can drive more when we need to. So it'll be interesting to see how it hasn't been long enough. It's only been 3 weeks to sort of see if anything, and how, and she's been traveling and stuff. So feedback of enjoyment's high, which is
important.
The main thing coming into a new relationship like that. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah, if it doesn't work, I'll just start using the push pull leg programs.
Well, I guess if she comes back and says, I don't fucking like training like this, then you have other options to play with, right?
Yeah. Just little things like we were talking about yesterday, how so many girls want that constant time under tension stuff, so they're never going to hip extension. Just little things like that. It's like, I just need you to just another 3 inches through on that, on the RDL or whatever, just so you can get into that position. And then that unlocks gains in the next block. You can actually extend properly and get your glutes short.
Yeah. It's majoring in things that don't really matter as well, which they don't understand, which is perfectly fine.
Yeah. Yeah, you mean like cutting the rep short for the tension type.
It's majoring and minors. It's like like they think the feel and the tension is where things should be, where we're like, and that'll only get you so far.
Yeah.
And then we're like, actually,
locking
out the movement and making sure you can move properly, finish off the contraction essentially. That's going to give you more scope in the future.
Yeah, even though it's unloaded, but it's going to be loaded at some other point and you want that position.
Correct.
And in this specific context, you probably move more weight.
Yeah.
If you lock out.
Yeah.
And go again. Than you would if you... Yeah.
Just working within a muscle length, within a range. Yeah.
It's so funny every time I have like a physique-based trainee come on or a client. It's like you give them deadlifts and the first week it's always
touch and go. Always.
Yeah. Stop that. It's called a dead lift.
You got to be pretty talented to touch and go.
Well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, the argument obviously is, well, how much weight are you compromising to touch and go that you could do with just a dead stop? Yeah.
Yeah. And then the increased risk too.
Yeah. All of my injuries deadlifting have been touch and go.
Yeah. Well, almost every injury I've seen in a deadlift is on the negative.
Yeah.
And to do a touch and go well, you have to load the negative because you're being really specific in the positioning that you're finishing.
Yeah. You know what's really disappointed me lately with the deadlifting? I've done, I think, 2 or 3 consults in the last month.
Mm.
And all of them have had back injuries from deadlifting.
Interesting.
Yeah. And the people who I've sat down with, when you just look at like the need, I don't feel like it was there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these are like people like carrying too much weight.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and even just not in a position to be able to own a lift like that. Yeah. Even like looking at the training program and it's like, how the fuck are you supposed to get precision with this exercise when you've got all this other shit going on at the same time?
This is a discussion I'm keen to have on Learn as well, like to coaches, but even to be aware as a client. If you're a client, don't let your trainer's goals become yours.
Yeah.
So if someone says to me, I don't want to get on the platform, like we were just talking about Kira that's come on, I've been joking with her, like, you make a really fucking good powerlifter for months. Yeah. Like, she's built for it, bro. Like, just proportions, leverages, like muscle mass. Like, you'd be really fucking good at these, but you're also really good at bodybuilding. So that's fine. A lot of what we're doing in the space now as coaches is you want to get the Instagram result. Yeah. We had a little clip that went out last week. I think it was on Learn about like if you have a fat loss client come to you and you find a performance outcome for them and give them focus on performance, you get that performance outcome. They're more focused. They get better results.
Yeah, of course.
That's awesome.
Agreed.
I 100% think you need to do that, but the pendulum goes too far when you sit down with someone and go, you're going to be an athlete because I said so and it makes me look good on Instagram. Yeah. Or you're going to squat, bench, and deadlift because it makes me look good on Instagram. Yeah. It's like they're not there. Like if they don't have the mobility to get into the position, if they don't have the basic strength to do it, if they don't have the coordination, the proprioception, like if you got someone who's like you're calling off the MIA list to come in and train with you, they're not fucking squat, benching, and deadlifting in the first 6 months.
Yeah, even if, and especially if their fucking goals are to lose like 20, 30 kilos.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, but they wanted to get strong. Okay, like why couldn't they be strong on the fucking hack squat? Yeah,
strength is like, the definition of strength like carries over to so many different areas.
Yeah, it's like did their training volume, their total volume for the week go up? They got stronger. Like
I think it's that, and it's a manifestation of this like this rite of passage, like taking a beginner lifter, you know, through their proficiency. Yeah. So it's like, for some reason, somewhere, and it does kind of manifest from their education. So in Cert 3 and 4, you're like, let's do push pull leg. Let's the compound movements are like the holy grail, and when you actually see the definition of isolation movements in the book, it's like, oh, you couldn't possibly do that. And then, but if you actually do the needs analysis on like a beginner lifter, intermediate and advanced trainee, the beginner lifter has no proprioception, doesn't understand motor control, it doesn't know how to do the movement and stuff. And then you look at like the characteristics of like something like a deadlift. What did they say yesterday? It's technical as fuck.
Yeah.
These are personal trainers saying who are experienced lifters saying the deadlift is technical as fuck.
Powerlifting coaches. Yeah.
Correct. Specialists at the lift. And then you've got these trainers that have been brainwashed that compound movement's good. So you know what's the best compound movement, Ben?
Yeah.
The one that has the most joints moved in it.
Yeah.
And it's the deadlift.
And the most load.
So if I use a deadlift, because it's multi-jointed, because it uses a lot of muscle, and I have this client who wants to get strong, and I know strong to me is be stronger at the deadlift, I'm putting someone who's not actually has the ability, who isn't proficient in the movement into an environment with fatigue, with heavy weight. It's just going to get fucked up. And it's happening too often.
There's a push at the moment, which is kind of like this concurrent goals thing, right? That's the next wave.
Yeah.
It's going to take over the powerlifting wave that we just had, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding when we started, then it went to sort of CrossFit, then it went to powerlifting, concurrent's next. Yeah. That's the trend line.
Bodybuilding never left.
It's not like people stop doing it.
I'm kidding.
You know what I mean?
I'm just rolling up.
It'll be the cool thing of the time.
Yeah.
With that, there's always been the S&C coaches that like fucking Cert 4 personal trainers train everyone like bodybuilders, fuck stupid, blah, blah, blah. I trained everyone like bodybuilders for 5 years. Every single one of them got in better shape. Every single one of them had better quality of life. And every single one of them was fucking happy with what they got.
Again, if you go down to that needs analysis of the lifter, training someone like a bodybuilder really for the first 6 weeks to 12 weeks makes I know, I'm being generous. It makes all the fucking sense.
Yeah.
It's like fixed range of motion movements that aren't complicated, that are repetitive, and get that person to understand work ethic and where their body is going that's kind of guided.
You got people that don't know when to stop on a leg press, man.
Yeah.
It's like they lock out too hard, or they're fucking jerky, or they like...
Their legs shake when they contract their muscles on a leg extension.
It's like, bro, you can't... That person has no business under their body weight on a barbell.
Yeah. Can't bend over without their spine moving or their pelvis rotating shit.
You don't have the systemic control
off the ground
to do any of that yet. So
it's terrifying. Yeah.
Training like a bodybuilder gives you all the proprioception control, body awareness, mind muscle connection. Ish is important, but not necessarily.
Skill acquisition of body and space.
Training hard, understanding what I feel like under load, recoverability. Even outside of all of that, connective tissue resistance.
Yeah.
Like injury resistance, let's call it. Not prevention, because you're not allowed to say that right now, but injury resistance by building a system that can actually handle shit that's coordinated. Fuck, man. Yeah, 6 months of just doing the fundamentals well. I would argue the only difference is like I wouldn't, nowadays, someone new coming to me, I would use forced movement patterns leveraging external stability, hack squat, leg press, plate-loaded machines, those types of things. But I would probably do it in slightly different rep ranges than what I was back then. Okay. There'd be less 10 to 15 and more like
6s and
8s.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just building the precision. It's like the likelihood of doing 6 to 8 good reps is way higher than doing 10 to 12 shit ones.
Yeah.
And it's like, cool, you want this person to understand lactic accumulation in the muscle, getting their muscles to actual failure in those rep ranges, do a fixed range exercise where they're safe, like a leg extension or a lunge or something like that.
And if you're worried about your Gen Pop client turning into a fridge, like Jason and I have been for a long lot of our life from not moving through different ranges of motion and stuff, tell them to go for a walk every day.
Yeah.
Because they don't now. They sit at a desk, and walking's going to do more for them than your fucking Jefferson curl, half kneeling, wood chop shit that you're doing in the gym. Yeah.
You got to train really hard to turn yourself into a fridge, to be fair.
Yes. Yeah, it's a lot of... You're compensating for a lot of fucking load.
Yeah, so it's probably not going to happen for most people. But yeah, anyway. Oh,
we had nothing to talk about today.
Yeah, look, we just start talking about training and it's like... especially programming, it's like...
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.